We showed you tape last night that was so awful that we hesitated before putting it on. It's terrifying. A hit and driver in Los Angeles last August. A 16-year-old stole a car and intentionally ran over a woman who was pushing her 8-month-old son in a stroller. We're going to show you again. It's disturbing. Before we put it on the screen, though, we should tell you that the mother and child are well, but it's still awful to see. And you should also know the LA Soros-backed District Attorney George Gascon has announced the guy who did this will receive a sentence of only 5 months in a, quote, diversionary program. Now, the mother who was injured in that attack is, of course, outraged. Obviously, what does it say about the value of her life? She has requested we refer to her only by her first name, Rachel. We're honored to have her join us now. Rachel, thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Tucker.
So that tape is really, we actually debated whether to put it on. It's that awful. I can't even imagine how you feel when you, well, how do you feel when you see that?
You know, at this point, I'm pretty numb to it. I watched it about, I'd say at least 1,000 times. I've still shotted it to see, did I do what I thought I did? Did I do everything I could to protect my child? And thankfully, I think I did.
Yes.
But it was very tough to watch at first, made me very sick. But I'm okay now watching it.
It seems very obvious, and I'm just looking at the screen right now, there's space for him to avoid you and your son, but it looks like he did it on purpose.
Absolutely, he did it on purpose. I made eye contact with him as he was approaching us. I screamed for him to stop. There was plenty of room. 2 cars can fit. It's a one-way street, so it's meant for just one car, but there are cars that can park on the side of the road, and there's still plenty of room for another car to pass.
So anyone who would mow down a mother and her baby in a stroller on purpose is someone who should be locked far away from the rest of us, no?
Absolutely, and I just learned from Bill Malusian on Sunday that the kid had a felony record already and was out on probation when he hit me.
So how do you, this is almost a rhetorical question, how do you feel about what George Gascon has done? What message does that send?
It sends a lot of messages. It sends messages to criminals that, it's okay to do bad things because we're not going to punish you. We're going to punish the victims instead. I'm just beside myself with the comments that he's come out with on Twitter, citing that, California law says that the punishment is fair, when in fact it's his policies that he put into place that prevent us from getting appropriate justice.
Yeah, he assigns no value to your life or your son's life at all, it feels like.
No. He can take the time to tweet about it and make this a political thing, which it's not. I'd like to admit I'm a Democrat and I voted for George Gascon. I was raised in a Republican family, so I'm pretty centrist, but I lean left. And, I voted for this guy because I believe that, our prisons do need some reform, but rewarding criminals, violent criminals for their actions is very far from any kind of reformation that anybody would think is appropriate.
Yeah, it's a failure. It's the most basic duty of government to protect its citizens, particularly moms with babies in strollers.
Yeah.
That's not a tough call.
Especially the courts. The courts are here to protect us, and he's rewriting the laws essentially in Los Angeles, so that people can get away with whatever they feel like.
Are you going to stay in the state, do you think?
Not long term, no. We have plans to move in the short term, like the very short term. We'll stay in the state for a little while, but our long-term goal is to leave the state.
And so the future of the state erodes. It's so sad. And you are brave to come on, especially since, as you admitted, it's not a political thing.
Yeah,
so thank you.
Yeah, every person in Los Angeles should be concerned. Our crime rates are through the roof, and we need all of the support we can get from both sides of the aisle, all the voters. It's very nonpartisan.
Amen. Well, you've done a great service in telling your story. Thank you for that.
Thank you for having me.